Level 1, New Agent Trainee. You arrive at Quantico with a law degree and clean shoes. The academy sits in Virginia woods where recruits become federal agents. You are 25 years old with student debt and big dreams. Your apartment back home has second-hand furniture and empty picture frames. Your girlfriend Sarah teaches 3rd grade and believes you will change the world. You call her every night after lights out. The instructors are former agents with hard eyes and quiet voices. They teach you to shoot, to think, to survive situations that kill good people. You run before dawn in formation with 49 other recruits. Some will wash out before graduation. You swear it will not be you. You learn federal law until it lives in your bones. You memorize procedures that could save your life. You practice scenarios in mock buildings designed to feel real. Your father was a small-town police chief who died when you were 16. He wore his badge like it meant something sacred. You remember him saying the law protects those who cannot protect themselves. You carry his picture in your wallet next to your academy ID. You want to honor what he taught you about service and sacrifice. You want to be the kind of man he raised you to be. The final exam is comprehensive and brutal. You pass in the top 10% of your class. At graduation, you raise your right hand and swear an oath to defend the Constitution. The words feel heavy with purpose and possibility. Sarah sits in the audience wearing her best dress. She cries when they pin the badge to your chest. You think this is the beginning of everything you dreamed. You have no idea what the badge will cost you. Level 2, Special Agent. They assign you to the Detroit field office. Your first apartment is small but clean with a view of the river. You buy real furniture for the first time in your life. Sarah visits on weekends and talks about moving in together. You work bank robberies and white-collar crime under a seasoned supervisor named Martinez. He teaches you that real police work is 90% paperwork and patience. Your first arrest is a nervous accountant who embezzled pension funds. He cries in the interview room and asks about his children. You read him his rights and process him like you were trained. Later, you sit in your car and think about the families whose retirement he stole. Justice feels more complicated than you expected. The badge weighs differently than it did at graduation. You work your first undercover operation buying stolen electronics. For 3 weeks, you become someone else entirely. You learn to lie smoothly and think on your feet. The criminals trust you because you seem like them. The skill frightens you a little. You wonder how much pretending changes the person underneath. When the operation ends, you need a week to feel like yourself again. Sarah moves to Detroit and finds work at an inner-city school. She sees the neighborhood you police from a different angle. At dinner, she talks about her students while you think about your cases. The conversations grow shorter and more careful. You cannot tell her about the undercover work. You cannot explain why you come home quiet and distant. The job builds walls you never meant to construct. Level 3, Senior Special Agent. After 5 years, experience earns you respect and harder assignments. You work organized crime cases that span multiple states and take years to build. You learn patience that your younger self never possessed. You learn to think like criminals to catch them. The skill comes easier now. That should worry you, but it does not. You marry Sarah in a small ceremony attended by agents and teachers. Your best man is Martinez, who has become like a father to you. Sarah wears her mother's dress and promises to love the man you are becoming. You promise to put family first when possible. Both promises prove harder to keep than you imagined on your wedding day. Your first child is born during a stakeout. You miss the birth watching a warehouse for 14 hours. Sarah sends a picture of your son Michael to your phone. You stare at his tiny face on the screen while suspects load stolen goods into trucks. You tell yourself this sacrifice means something. You tell yourself you are building a better world for him to inherit. You mostly believe it at the time. The organized crime unit becomes your second family. You spend more time with these agents than with your actual family. You trust them with your life regularly and they trust you with theirs. The bond runs deeper than friendship. It is forged by shared danger and mutual dependence. You would die for any of them without hesitation. They would do the same for you without question. Level 4, Supervisory Special Agent Promotion puts you in charge of a squad of 8 agents. Your nameplate reads Supervisory Special Agent, but the agents call you boss when they need something. You are responsible for their safety and their success. Every decision you make could send someone home to their family or to a funeral. The weight of command settles on your shoulders like a familiar coat. You work terrorism cases now in the post 9/11 world. The stakes feel higher and the margin for error smaller. You brief congressional committees on threats they cannot discuss publicly. You sign warrants that peer into private lives and sacred spaces. The Constitution you swore to defend sometimes conflicts with the safety you swore to protect. You learn to navigate the gray spaces between law and necessity. Sarah struggles with your longer hours and deeper silences. Michael takes his first steps while you interrogate a suspect in another state. You watch the video on your phone during a bathroom break. The moment feels hollow and distant, like watching someone else's life. You promise to be present for the next milestone. The promise becomes harder to keep with each promotion. One of your agents is shot during a raid that goes wrong. He survives, but the bullet shatters his knee and his confidence. He takes disability retirement and moves somewhere quiet with his wife. You visit him once and see how peace looks on a man who carried too much weight. You envy him more than you admit. You wonder if you will ever be brave enough to choose peace over purpose. Level 5, if Assistant Special Agent in Charge, the ASAC position moves you to headquarters in Washington. You oversee multiple field offices and coordinate complex investigations. Your decisions affect hundreds of agents and thousands of cases. You brief the director monthly on national security matters. Your name appears on documents that shape federal law enforcement policy. You have become part of the machine you once served. The move to Washington strains your marriage beyond repair. Sarah finds work at a suburban school, but she feels like a stranger in your new life. At bureau functions, she smiles and makes conversation while you network with officials whose names appear in newspapers. She watches you become someone she does not recognize. You watch her withdraw into a life that does not include you. Your son Michael is 10 now and calls you sir when you come home late. He has learned not to expect you at games or school events. You miss his first home run because a terrorism investigation demands your attention. When you apologize, he shrugs like he expected disappointment. His acceptance hurts worse than his anger ever could. You approve operations that you cannot discuss with anyone outside the bureau. You sign budgets that fund activities the public never sees. You attend meetings where elected officials ask you to bend rules for national security. Sometimes you bend them. Sometimes you refuse. The distinction between right and necessary blurs with each decision you make alone in your office after everyone else goes home. Level 6, Special Agent in Charge. You run the entire Los Angeles field office. 400 agents report to you directly or indirectly. You are responsible for federal law enforcement across Southern California. Your picture hangs in the lobby next to the flag and the FBI seal. Visitors shake your hand and thank you for your service. You smile and say it is an honor to serve. You mean it less than you used to. Sarah asks for a divorce on your 20th wedding anniversary. She has met someone who comes home for dinner and remembers birthdays. You do not fight the decision because you know she is right. You have loved the bureau more than you loved her. She takes Michael and moves back to Detroit near her family. You see your son every other weekend when cases permit. He is polite but distant, like you are his father's colleague instead of his father. The Los Angeles office handles cases that make national news. You brief reporters without revealing classified details. You testify before Congress about border security and gang violence. Your name appears in newspapers and your face on television. Strangers recognize you at restaurants and thank you for protecting America. You have become a symbol of something larger than yourself. The symbol feels heavier than the person underneath. You live alone in a Westwood condo with a view of the city you police. Your refrigerator holds takeout containers and energy drinks. Your closet contains 20 identical suits and 50 bureau ties. On Sunday mornings, you run alone through empty streets and think about the men you have become. You remember your father's badge and wonder if he would recognize the agent wearing it now. Level 7, Assistant Director Headquarters recalls you to Washington as Assistant Director for Criminal Investigative Division. You oversee all criminal cases nationwide from organized crime to public corruption. Your decisions affect every field office and thousands of agents. You brief the Attorney General weekly and the President monthly. You have become one of the most powerful law enforcement officials in America. The job requires compromises your younger self would not understand. You balance competing interests between politicians, prosecutors, and the public. You approve investigations of people you know personally. You kill investigations that threaten national security or diplomatic relationships. The distinction between law and politics disappears entirely at this level. You tell yourself you serve a higher good that requires difficult choices. Michael graduates high school and enlists in the army. He sends you a picture of himself in uniform but does not invite you to the ceremony. Sarah remarries a teacher who coached Michael's baseball team. The wedding announcement arrives with your son's graduation photos. You frame the graduation picture and leave the wedding announcement on your desk for a month before filing it away. Your days begin at dawn with intelligence briefings and end after midnight with secure phone calls. You eat lunch at your desk and dinner from hotel room service. Your assistant schedules your life in 15-minute increments. You have forgotten what spontaneity feels like or why you once valued it. Control has become your comfort and isolation your protection. Level 8, Associate Executive Assistant Director. You are now one of 5 Associate Executive Assistant Directors reporting directly to the FBI Director. Your portfolio includes all domestic investigations and counterintelligence operations. You attend National Security Council meetings in the White House Situation Room. Your voice helps shape American domestic policy and international relationships. You have climbed higher than you dreamed possible as a young agent. The power brings profound loneliness. You trust no one completely because everyone wants something from you. Your closest relationships are with other senior officials who understand the weight of command. You speak carefully because your words become policy. You think strategically because your mistakes become headlines. You have learned to hide your humanity behind institutional authority. Michael is deployed overseas with his unit. You use Bureau resources to monitor his safety through military channels. The intelligence reports reassure you, but you cannot tell him you are watching. He calls sporadically and speaks politely about his deployment. He never asks about your work and you never volunteer information. You have both learned to compartmentalize emotion and duty. The skill runs in the family now. Your health begins to show the strain of 3 decades in federal service. You take medication for blood pressure and sleep disorders. Your doctor recommends retirement, but you cannot imagine life without the Bureau. The institution has become your identity and your purpose. Without it, you would not know who you are or what you believe. The badge has become your skin. Level 9, Executive Assistant Director. The Executive Assistant Director position makes you the Deputy Director's primary lieutenant. You coordinate all FBI operations and represent the Bureau when the Director travels. You are one of the most recognizable faces in federal law enforcement. Your testimony before Congress is broadcast live on television. Your decisions affect national security and public safety across America. You approve operations that reshape criminal organizations and terrorist networks. You allocate billions in federal funding and thousands of federal agents. You review intelligence reports that predict threats to American soil. The responsibility weighs more heavily than any physical burden you have carried. You sleep for hours a night and dream about scenarios you cannot prevent. Michael completes his military service and returns home wounded but alive. He finds work as a police officer in a small Michigan town near his mother. He calls you twice a year on Christmas and your birthday. The conversations last 10 minutes and cover safe topics like weather and sports. You want to bridge the gap between you, but you no longer remember how to be a father instead of a federal official. You attend funerals for agents killed in the line of duty more often than weddings or birthday parties. You present folded flags to widows and speak about honor and sacrifice. After each funeral, you return to your office and approve operations that put more agents at risk. The cycle continues because the mission demands it. You tell yourself their deaths mean something larger than individual loss. Level 10, Director. The President nominates you as FBI Director and the Senate confirms you unanimously. You are now the public face of federal law enforcement in America. Your confirmation hearing is covered live on television. Your portrait will hang with those of J. Edgar Hoover and every director since. You have reached the summit of federal law enforcement. You are 55 years old and feel much older. The director's office overlooks Pennsylvania Avenue from the 7th floor of FBI headquarters. Your desk is the same one used by Hoover decades ago. Your decisions affect 35,000 employees and shape law enforcement policy worldwide. Foreign intelligence services study your public statements. Criminal organizations adjust their tactics based on your operational priorities. You have become both hunter and hunted simultaneously. You brief the president weekly on domestic threats and international terrorism. You testify before Congress monthly about bureau operations and budget requests. You meet with foreign officials who seek American assistance with their domestic problems. Your schedule is managed by staff who speak for you to everyone except the most senior officials. You have become an institution embodied in a single person. Michael marries a nurse and sends you a wedding invitation 3 days before the ceremony. You attend alone and sit in the back during the service. At the reception, you shake hands with his new father-in-law, the teacher who raised your son. Michael introduces you to his wife as his father, the FBI Director. The title has replaced your name entirely in his mind. You dance once with the bride and leave before the cake is served. You live alone in a Georgetown townhouse protected by federal agents around the clock. Your refrigerator contains prepared meals delivered by security-cleared staff. Your closest relationships are with subordinates who brief you and superiors who direct you. You have not had a private conversation with anyone in years. Privacy has become a luxury you cannot afford and would not know how to enjoy. The job consumes your health and your remaining relationships. You take medication for conditions caused by stress and isolation. Your doctor warns about heart problems and recommends immediate retirement. You ignore the advice because the nation needs experienced leadership. You tell yourself the sacrifice serves a purpose larger than personal happiness. You mostly believe it in the moments before sleep comes. You think about your father sometimes, the small-town police chief who died believing in simple justice and clear morality. You wonder what he would think of the director his son became. You wonder if he would recognize the man behind the title and the security detail. You push the questions aside because they have no useful answers. Doubt is a luxury directors cannot afford. Somewhere in America tonight, a young man raises his right hand and swears an oath to defend the Constitution. His girlfriend sits in the audience wearing her best dress. She believes he will change the world. He carries his father's picture and his father's dreams about service and sacrifice. He has no idea what the climb will cost him. He has no idea what it will turn him into. But he will learn the way you learned, one terrible rank at a time. And the cycle continues.